No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but the public can access this meeting while in progress by Zoom Video Communications, Inc. Members of the public attending this meeting virtually will be allowed to make comments if they wish to do so during the portion of the hearing designated for public comment by telephone, cell phone, or personal computer using Zoom. Just some guidelines for participants. Please utilize the chat or raise hand function if you wish to address the board. People will remain on mute until they've actually been addressed by the board, and participants are required to display their first and last names. All that said, by tradition, we'll start with a roll call of present members. I am Brian Barabee.
Paul Brandmold.
Jim Garrity.
Do we have Sam? And she might still be connecting.
It looks, oh, there she is.
I'm here if you're looking for me.
No, I just want you to state your name, Lori, officially.
Yep, Lori Stevenson. Sorry.
No,
I was halfway in between when you were talking.
Seems like it's a theme for the night. Hopefully we get better with this.
Okay, thank
you. Okay. First up this evening, we have a request to amend the order of conditions for 472 Sugar Road. Lauren, is the applicant or rep for the applicant here this evening?
Yep, I see that we have the applicant Shane Kirkuru and I believe John Mecklin as representative is logged on too.
Okay. Do I see Seth as well?
That's correct. Thank you.
Okay.
Do one of you want to give us a quick rundown on what you are looking to do and possibly share the map or the design?
I will start off, Mr. Chairman, if that's all right.
That would be excellent, Seth. Thank you.
Okay, so for the record, I'm Seth Donahoe with Dillis and Roy Civil Design Group. I'm here tonight on behalf of the applicant and their contractor. I believe they've spoken with you briefly in the past about what they desire to do. A quick recap, we were before you, I believe in 2022 for a notice of intent, and that entailed constructing a pool outbuilding on the property, as well as some various improvements. At that time, the commission issued an order of conditions. The project is underway, but there's a couple minor changes, and I will pull up my screen if that's okay.
Please.
All right, hopefully what's before you is a blown up view of the previously approved plan. So this is the pool building that was previously approved. There's no changes to that before you tonight. There's three minor changes that we're requesting. The primary one is the relocation of the well that's circled in red here. The existing well is right against the house. They'd like to have a better water supply for the house. It's quite old, probably a fairly shallow well. This well is, well, it's within the 200-foot riparian zone. It's outside the 100-foot buffer zone. The existing well is actually much closer to the wetland resources areas. So we'll be relocating it at a greater distance. That's mostly driven by the Board of Health offset requirements as well.
Do you have the new, is that the new I'm sorry, I cut you off, Seth. Is that the new well location that's marked there? Or is that the old well?
So the old well is right here.
Gotcha.
The new well is in red right here.
Okay.
So just at the limits of the 200-foot riparian zone.
Yep.
And I should have let off that we have a stream near the property boundary. We also have a wetland upgrading out of that. Those are our driving factors in these decisions. Another change is a detached garage. This is entirely outside the 100-foot buffer zone, which is in orange on the plan. The 200-foot riparian zone is in yellow. So this proposed structure is entirely outside those regulatory offsets. And the final change is to put the existing overhead utilities underground immediately adjacent to the existing driveway. I have a blow up on this page. This was also submitted to the commission. The purple line represents the path of the subsurface utilities. They're defined by a ledge outcrop that'll provide service to the existing house and also the new pool building as well. So there's some fairly minor changes. The only real impact would be the temporary trenching for the subsurface utilities that equated to 880 square foot of riparian zone alteration. Even adding in that to what the commission previously approved, we're still well under the allowable 10% for the property. When we add in the 880 square feet, we come up to 7.5% alteration of the riverfront area on the property. And that includes the calculation of the existing structures that were there with or without this filing. So we added the existing structures, the existing driveway, the proposed structures, and the proposed utility improvements into that total number. So that's what we're here for you in a nutshell. If Mr. Mecklin has anything to add, I'd be happy to step aside for a second. Otherwise, I think it's a pretty minor revision that we're requesting.
I have thank you very much, Seth. I don't really have anything. First of all, Lauren, am I audible? The commission can hear? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. No, I don't have a whole lot to add to what Seth said. Just a brief update. The building as shown has been constructed. The outside, the landscaping has begun. The patio is installed. The building's painted, completely weather tight, and we're working on the inside. So if the commission desires a site visit, they'll see that that's well underway. Besides previously proposed utility connections to the sewer and the water to the building, there's been no other added work really to the scope. Again, we're proposing to install a garage. There's no other garage on the property. So remove the well. The existing water supply is pretty feeble, and it's very shallow, and the waters are very poor quality. So we're crossing our fingers, hoping that with a deeper well, we can provide next 30, 40 years water supply for this client. The reason for the electrical line work, this property was supplied with an aerial electrical connection, I'm going to guess maybe in the 40s or 50s. And in those days, they would just cut a straight line through the woods, which they did. So the poles are not accessible by vehicle. They run through mature hardwood forest, and that mature hardwood forest does its best to bring that electrical line down about every 2 years, most recently in the last 6 months. And it leaves the property and the folks' refrigerators and their sump pumps, everything with no power till we get that remedy. So there's a practical reason to put that power line underground, as well as the fact that National Grid, in their desire to upgrade their infrastructure, whenever you request new power, they put your feet right to the fire, and they want you to upgrade for the next several generations. So they do not really want to provide any additional power or upgrades to power to this property on that existing line of poles. So we would like it buried, and we have also learned that the only way we can improve the power situation on the property is indeed to bury it. They won't upgrade the aerial service any longer because they can't access it with their vehicles. So that brings us here.
Okay. I guess I'll start off. I guess just off what you just said. The existing poles being removed, are all the utilities going underground? Is it just the electrical poles are staying in place?
No, excuse me, there are only 2 viable utilities that we bring in any longer. In probably 15 years, I haven't run a copper phone line. That's kind of a dinosaur these days. So yeah, there will be internet, excuse me, coaxial service to the property that will be run in the same trench in conjunction with the new electrical power, and that will allow us to remove the other electrical line completely.
And are the existing poles coming down as well?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And it looked like everything after retrenching was going to be renaturalized.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have to list this as a disturbance, but excuse me, I like to think that this is a temporary disturbance, and that there's no change to contours. There'll be no change to the organic cover to anything, you know, I'd like to say within a year and a half of this work or sooner, the electrical trench disappears as having any effect on the surface. And thankfully, we have access right along the whole driveway, so that I don't think we have to cut a shrub bigger than 1 inch in diameter just to get this whole thing in, because the whole electrical line is being proposed right on the verge of traveled ways. And even as it deviates from the driveway and heads off kind of straight up in your drawing and then continues into the house, that's along existing cart path. So there's no tree clearing, no major recontouring, nothing. That's a cart path that was created in previous construction projects on the property, as well as when they installed an upgraded septic system and force main.
Okay.
So we don't even have any real tree cutting proposed in this proposal for the well, the garage, or the electrical line. It's all open land.
Okay. Did you, when it comes to the wells, the old well, what's the plan for the old well? Will that get removed, or is that getting covered in place?
There's a quasi legal, but there's an approved process approved by the Board of Health where you cut the casing down below grade and you actually fill that well in. It's called grouting the well, but it's filled in, so it's permanently. Unless you can defend it as an agricultural well, which on this property I think would be a real stretch. That well will be abandoned and it gets filled in. Of course, we pull the pump out.
Right. And then, cut, filled, and then,
Yep.
there's a little bit of
Yeah,
no
but no,
naturalized over the top. or
we
it's long.
disappear it in so many words.
Okay. Well, I guess the next question, and I'll put it out to the commission, basically first for this. I'm familiar with the site. I can remember it, but I know we have new commission members, and I know we might have commission members who haven't been out to the site, because it is very tight. It is a very wet area. I'm not sure. Well, first of all, I'm going to open up to see if they have additional questions, to see what people think, if they would need a site visit or would want a site visit. Because I guess the only other thing that I'd be somewhat interested to see is that new shed being built, the new garage. I know it's
Yep.
outside the jurisdictional areas, but are there
Yep.
plans for runoff as far as what's coming off the roof of that? Because that actually does affect the jurisdictional area, which I think by the bylaws is something that we're supposed to at least look at.
So the proposed garage is actually in between the existing structures and the resource area. So our existing house is actually down gradient of this.
Okay.
In a general manner, it does drain to the existing driveway, which then conveys via sheet flow as best it can away from the wetland area.
Okay. All right. Let me open it up to other commission members. Other commission members have questions, comments, thoughts on site visit. Please.
I've got one question, which is just where are you going to keep the materials to backfill the trench? Because National Grid typically requires, 18-inch below and 18 inches above of either sand or gravelly type substrate. Are you planning on keeping that away from the wetland areas?
Yeah, we would keep our whole work area, for lack of a better phrase, in the driveway. If you were to walk the site, it doesn't make any sense for us to do any storage of material or any work further into the woods, which I guess some of that's in the resource area. We can keep all of our, let's use the word mess, we keep all our mess in the driveway, and we're going to generate extra soil, which we would truck off site. Because there's no place to lose it on this, every square inch on this property is accounted for.
I'll note too, John,
approved.
we were requested to designate a stockpile area in the original approval for this project. And that is indeed outside of the riparian zone and the 100-foot buffer zone. So that's at the end of the driveway. It does coincide with the location of the proposed detached garage, but as this would be done in a series, they would completely be able to use that. The new plan that's been submitted to the commission shows that area is surrounded by an erosion control barrier as well.
Yeah, and that stockpile, just to add, that stockpile storage area that was denoted on the first order, that has come and gone because the entire pool structure is completed and all excavation is done. The only shovels going in the ground anymore are for planting of some shrubs and stuff like that. All the machine work's done out there.
Thank you.
Other questions, comments from commission members? See them. Any members of the public here tonight to comment on this particular hearing?
Yeah, Corinne Molesky, 456 Sugar. I just had a question about the garage. Are you planning a slab there? Are you going to be going into the ground at all?
It'll have a frost wall. So we'll dig down approximately 4 feet deep to pour a foundation. There won't be a cellar, but yeah, there's what's called a frost wall, which is a shallow foundation.
And
on the perimeter.
any blasting anticipated?
It's what we found down there, that we can almost break everything with a hammer, and we were able to break everything except a couple of big nubs. So if you live next door, you're probably aware of the fact we did blast a little bit for the one day for the pool area. I would anticipate and hope and cross my fingers that we're going to get the garage in. The pool, in addition to the foundation, we had to over excavate quite a good size area for the pool to physically fit in the building. So we had to do a lot more digging in the pool area than we will in the garage. As a matter of fact, the code lets us build a shallow foundation directly on the ledge. So encountering a knob or a couple of high areas that would be above the nominal footing depth, we can actually pour concrete right on that existing ledge. So I hate to sit here and make a blanket promise, but there's a quite good possibility we won't even have to use a hammer in there. We can just, what we can't dig, we're allowed to pour right on top of the ledge. There's no utilities going underneath the garage or anything.
Okay, thank you. And my
Yeah.
second question was just regarding the cart path. It looks like you're right up against it. Is that changing in any way, or
No, that access stays, because I think that might be deeded access. I think that's a right of way. And are you one of the neighbors that has access to your septic system way down back there, or at least
not
the
our
pond,
septic,
right?
We have 20 feet of frontage about
On
on
the pond,
the field.
right? No, we're not going to block it, A, and B, I think by right, there's right of way back there, so.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Other questions, comments from members of the public? Commission members, comfortable with what we've heard? Anything you'd want to see added? Anybody want to see something in the field, or people comfortable in general with the field amendment as presented tonight? All right.
Yeah, I don't need to see it. I think it
Yeah.
looks good in my opinion.
Okay.
Yep.
Sorry.
No, I'll set Brian. Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Just looking at the map right now, or the drawing, sorry. All right. I mean, I think I'm fairly comfortable with it as well. Seth, did you say that there's additional erosion control going in for this?
We did. We designated on the plan surrounding both the garage, even though it's outside the regulatory buffer zone and riparian zone, as well
Yeah.
as the entirety of the length of the electrical installation. So the side of the driveway will essentially have an erosion control barrier for the whole length of the construction process. And that's intended, by the nature of it, that's it'll be done as it goes, essentially. They're not going to, John can correct me if I'm wrong, but you're going to do a section, put your conduit in, and then move on to the next section of it.
What is so along the area that we're trenching? Is it grass right now? Is it just native growth?
It's a combination. It's kind of I think the owner might kind of weed whack it. That driveway was improved sometime in the last 20 years, so it's pretty wide. There are no, I don't want to make that blanket statement, but anecdotally, there's been room to pull vehicles off it during construction. So there's a pretty good verge. It doesn't really have any mature trees. And as I said, I don't think I have to cut any mature trees along the whole length.
No,
so-
I was kind of looking. I was zooming in on the map a little bit to see, and I can see where you're going with it, which makes sense to me. And it was more. I was kind of questioning when when we allow it to renaturalize,
Yep.
might ask for, and I was trying to figure out if it was mowed a little bit because it looks like, again, he has the strips along each side of the driveway, which I
Yeah.
get. To overseed with a native seed mix. I just know we have a lot of invasives that move in. We have a lot of stuff
Right.
in these areas that we don't necessarily want.
Yep.
So basically to overseed that with a native seed mix.
Yeah.
So at least we get the right stuff regrowing there.
Sure.
I don't know if you see like a lot of invasives coming in there, if you think it'll just
Yeah,
renaturalize without it, but that's the
we
one I
don't
was
have the
trying to
real,
figure.
we don't seem to have the real, the real common criminals, you know, there's no bittersweet really around there. And the mustard and stuff like that, some of the stuff that we find in other properties. There's not enough sunlight to support much in there, to be honest.
It's a
So
solid point.
kind of keeps some of the nasty stuff down, but there's no sumac down there, some of those invasive things. But no, I think it's a fine idea, and I would find it more than acceptable if that was put into the notes of the addendum, that we reseed all, you know, we would be reseeding areas anyhow, but you know, if you want to get a specific mix in there.
It just that it's an actual native seed mix, and
Right.
again, it's probably similar mixes you're already getting, but just to I might
Yep.
add that in just for that reason. But on that, I think I was generally fine with everything. The one thing we usually will ask as well is that the town's conservation agent has a chance to inspect the new erosion controls before you begin on any of the
Yeah, that I would expect that to be pretty standard.
and I think that I'm fine with approving it as is with those two extra conditions. Other commission members have feelings around that, comfortable? Okay.
Brian,
case,
it looks like we may have a comment from the applicant, from Shane.
Please.
Yeah, hi, Shane Kirker, the applicant.
Yeah.
If you, unless the electric people say something different, this really is right along the driveway or in the driveway. So the worst thing is going to be actually getting equipment back and forth when they're working, because they'll be digging the driveway. And it's all open. And if you have specific native plantings or seeds, I'm happy to use whatever. The landscaping contractor I work with will be doing the landscaping work, focuses on native things, edible things, and so on. So he would either do what you were doing or, you know, something even more interesting, I'm sure. So I'm happy to do all of those things, because I like all the native little things and the frogs that go by and so on. So
I do seem to remember this from the site visit. I do. It's a very unique property. I remember being out there, and appreciate that that you do like our natural our plants that are supposed to be here.
yeah,
But again, if it's under the driveway, if it's along the sides of the driveway where you normally maintain, I can understand you don't need to really put a seed mix there. But at any places where it cuts out or it's going to a different place, that when they overfill it, when they reseed the top of it or allow it to naturalize, they're just putting a native seed mix on top. So it's the stuff we want to see growing there, and basically has a chance to choke out the bad stuff before it gets in. Okay. All right. So that's Ed. This is something we would do via a roll call vote. So I'm going to ask members of the commission if they to call for a vote to approve the request to amend the order of conditions 472 Sugar Road with the following two conditions: that any additional erosion controls be inspected by the town's conservation agent before work begins, and that the overseeding of any trenched areas be done with a native seed mix where applicable. So all those in favor of approving the amendment with those conditions, please say aye, starting with Paul.
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
Sam.
Aye.
Lori.
Did it go through? I'm sorry, aye.
There we are. You did. And Lauren, I'm an aye as well.
Thank you.
No, thank you. All right, guys, have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen and ladies.
Next up this evening, the Bolton Conservation Commission will now continue the public hearing under Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Bolton Bylaw, Chapter 233, to discuss the notice of intent for 12 Green Road, the Neshoba Regional High School. Lauren, do we have the applicant or a rep for the applicant here
Yeah, I
this evening?
see Chelsea Christensen is logged on and Jill Milani.
So my understanding on this project is I know there is a peer review being done right now regarding the stormwater plan. And I think we're waiting to hear what the peer review says before we can kind of get the answers to those questions. I'm not sure if the applicants have anything else to add. Am I understanding it correct right now?
Yes, hi, Chelsea Christensen, Niche Engineering. Yes, I believe we're expecting peer review comments tomorrow is what I heard. So,
Okay.
yeah, we don't have anything else to add at this time.
Okay. So if possible, you find we'll continue the next meeting. They'll get us we've requested to get copies of the peer review comments. That'll let us to go through any of the questions, and I'm sure you'll be answering it for the other boards as well. So unless there's any other comments, questions from members of the commission, and anyone from the public here to comment this evening? Seeing none. All right. Looks like 7:20 is our first available for our next meeting.
Okay.
Yep. So
All right, thank
I'm
you.
going to make a motion that we continue the public hearing for 112 Green Road, the Neshoba Regional High School, until our next public meeting, Tuesday, September 17th at 7:20 p.m.
Very good.
All those in favor, please say aye.
I think you need a second, Brian, right?
Oh my gosh, I am so sorry. I didn't even make a motion either. Sorry, folks. So I'd like to make a motion that we continue the public hearing for 12 Green Road, the Neshoba Regional High School, until our next public meeting, Tuesday, September 17th at 7:20 p.m. Do I hear a second for continuing?
Second,
All those in favor, starting with Paul,
Aye.
Jim,
aye.
Sam,
Aye.
Lori,
Aye.
and Lauren, I'm an aye as well.
Okay, thank you.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
See you then.
We'll
Good night.
see you in 2 weeks. Thank you. Okay. All right. So next up this evening, the Bolton Conservation Commission will now open a public hearing under Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Bolton Bylaw, Chapter 233, to discuss a notice of intent filed for 279 West Berlin Road. Lauren, I see Seth Donahoe. I believe you are a rep for the applicant here this evening.
I'm pinch hitting.
Oh, very nice of you. Do you want to walk us through what is being proposed?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So for the record, Seth Donahoe with Billis and Roy Civil Design Group. I'm here tonight on behalf of Shartner Farm. So we are proposing a pavilion to supplement their existing farm activities. They have some seasonal activities there. I'm sure everybody's familiar with, or at least drives by and sees the activity. So there's quite a bit of activity in the field, and I'm going to share my screen if that's all right.
Please.
All right, so hopefully what's before you now is the submitted notice of intent plan, slightly blown up. The existing farmhouse is up in this general direction, north or plan up. The Berlin town line is this dash line in this general area here. There's a newer septic system in the field. This is all a field, and there's a slight wood line along the side of the property. And there's a BVW located in that. That generally follows the town line. So this BVW meanders kind of in a westerly, southwesterly direction as it goes off the property and into Berlin more. What's being proposed, I will zoom in, is a pavilion area that's within an existing gravel area on the property. And it's 60 feet by 48 feet, and it supplements the existing structures in that general area. There's erosion control barriers, proposed down gradient. Again, this is the existing disturbed area on the site. And I believe the pavilion will be open on some sides, and I think Mr. Rogers, the contractor, is also here, and he can correct me if I'm wrong on that. So it's a pretty small activity on a 37-acre property. We are waiting for DEP file numbers on this, so I assume that we will be continuing, and I also expect that the commission may want to walk out there before it gets too busy for their fall season. So we'll have an opportunity to do that as well. So if there's any questions on the application, I'd be happy to dive into those.
If I can start quick, Seth, for the contractor, I'm sorry, I missed your name.
Chris Rogers.
Mr. Rogers. What's the proposed foundation right now of the pavilion?
It's going to be on concrete piers. So there's actually going to be no formal foundation for the structure.
Okay. I'm looking. I had a question from Rebecca. I managed to talk to Rebecca. Do you know how the wetlands were delineated for this project, or
So
originally?
Our office field delineated them for this application.
Okay.
They were survey located as part of that as well.
Okay.
And I'll note, we did not delineate the entirety of the 37 acres. It was just the portion that's relevant to the pavilion that's being proposed.
Okay, because I believe she was looking for like the delineation data sheets, if those had been submitted or if we were able to submit those.
So I believe today my office sent over a wetland delineation report. There were not data sheets given the limited length of the delineation. If the commission desires, we could absolutely do data sheets for this area. It's a farm property, so much of the upland area is indeed a field. The Dutch auger and soil samples were used to confirm that it does not extend into the field. And there are photographs in the report that we sent over. So if that didn't make it to your package, I apologize, and I'll make sure that gets to you.
I was going to say it's okay if we're missing. Unfortunately, if we're missing the DEP file numbers, we're probably going to have to continue it. So that'll give us time to just confirm all of that. What was I going to say? And I'm just curious. Well, let me open it up to other commission members and see if anybody feels they need a site visit or would like a site visit for this property, or any initial questions you have. Any commission members? Say pretty good. Any members of the public here tonight to comment on this particular hearing? Seeing none. I guess that's what I would say, Seth, is we can double check with Rebecca, and I want to make sure she has the right info that she needs. But I can see from the plans you submitted, I have a good idea what you're trying to do here. I know I've been out to the property a number of times. But without DEP's file numbers, we're going to need to really wait for their comments, unfortunately. So if that's all right, we'll continue till next meeting.
It's understood, and unfortunately status quo at this point. We end up in the holding pattern often. So
yeah,
we will eagerly await their comments. If there's any technical comments, we'll certainly address them. Otherwise, we'll wait to get back with the commission. Did you want to schedule a site walk as we have a intermission here, or are you comfortable with?
I was going to say, I mean, if people want to go out, I'll happily go out and, take a look exactly where it's marked, but I can picture the property fairly well. I've been out to Shartner Farms a number of times. But I didn't hear if any other commission members want to see it, would like to go for a site walk. It would not surprise me if Rebecca wants to get out there at some point. But it seemed like most people were either familiar with the property, didn't feel like they needed a site visit. Lori Stevenson really wants to go for a site walk out there, but other than that, I'm not getting that.
You know it.
Yeah. But so other than that, I'm not really hearing that. So I think we're fine without the site visit. It's just a question of getting those DEP comments and just making sure we address whatever they're asking, if they're asking.
And we'll wait for those. And I guess if we could ask to be continued to your next meeting, pending the arrival of those comments. And if they're delayed, we'll request a continuance.
And we'll go from there. Okay. So All that said, I'd like to make a motion that we continue the public hearing for the notice of intent for 279 West Berlin Road until our next public meeting, Tuesday, September 17th at 7:30 p.m. Do I hear a second for continuing?
Second.
All those in favor, starting with Paul,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Sam,
Aye.
Lori,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well, Lauren.
Thank you.
Thank you. We will see you later in the month.
All right. Yeah, we'll see
Yeah.
you guys then.
Thank you very much.
Take care. Okay. Sorry, just looking through our agenda real quick, everyone. I noticed up next we had enforcement orders. Basically, everything is somewhat status quo. Everybody is kind of moving towards compliance. So we are waiting, and there's nothing really new to report there. Again, Century Mill Estates, that is tied up in legal issues that I don't know that I could even attempt to explain, but no changes to that status as far as I know. Minutes for our last meeting. I was actually not at our last meeting. I'm going to have to recuse myself from voting, but I think I can call for the vote. So that said, the 8/20/24 minutes that were in the meeting packet, did everybody have a chance to read through them? If so, any edits, corrections, changes? If not, does anybody need more time to read through them? Seeing no comment, I'm going to make a motion that we approve the minutes for our August 20th, 2024 meeting as drafted and submitted at this evening's meeting. Do I hear a second for minutes?
Second.
All those in favor, starting with Paul.
I'll have to abstain too. I wasn't at the meeting.
All right. Jim,
Aye.
Sam,
Aye.
Lori,
Aye.
and I'm going to abstain as well, as I was not present at that meeting. I don't think I have any other updates. Bishop Grant, I think still moving along. Lauren, is there anything I am missing that you can think of?
I'm looking through my notes and I don't see anything else, so I think we covered it all.
Excellent. Excuse me. I will say, I think Rebecca, that's her name, emailed everyone about trying to think of goals for the next few years. We're getting into the budget cycle soon. That's most likely going to be level funded. We'll be discussing that, but I think the select board's even trying to look beyond that, and what are some of the key things we want to do? What are some of our key goals in the next few years going forward? I'll probably throw out more reminders about this, but if it's just something you want to start thinking about and framing, it should be a good opportunity for us to give ourselves some direction, hopefully. All that said, is there any new business or any thing that we haven't touched upon that any member of the commission would like to address or say? Surprisingly, seeing nothing. Lauren, anything on your end that I am forgetting?
I
wanna
don't
keep
think
this going.
so.
All right. That said, I'm going to make a motion that we hereby adjourn the Tuesday, September 3rd, 2024 meeting of the Bolton Conservation Commission. Do I hear a second for adjourning?
Second.
All those in favor, starting with Paul,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Sam,
Aye.
Lori,
Aye.
and Lauren. I'm an aye as well. Thank you all.
Okay.
We'll see you in 2 weeks, if not before.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Good night. Thank you.